Hello, dear friends. Here we are with another episode of the Spiritist magazine program at Kardec Radio. This is your host, Shane Martin from the Spirit Society of Richmond in Richmond, Virginia. Welcome. It's always a blessing and an honor to be with you every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are here discussing one of the articles from one of the issues of the Spiritist magazine. And here we have issue 61, which is the most recent one. And today we'll be talking about Spiritism in a book that is published, not yet published in English. However, the chapters of the book have been published over time in the Spiritist magazine. Every issue has one of the articles of this book. I don't say every issue, but as a law, most issues have one of the chapters of this book called Spiritist Conduct. And in this book, Andrea Luiz shows to you and I how the Spiritist should behave and should consider different aspects as we live in this physical life, blessed life by God. And today is Spiritist Conduct regarding Spiritism. What a blessing. Friends, make sure you share, you like, subscribe so that we can reach many more people. Let's put it's together here. Spiritist Conduct regarding Spiritism by Andrea Luiz. So today we are in excellent company by Andrea Luiz. And don't forget, you can visit spiritismagazine.org to access the app for your devices, to order the physical copy of the magazine, or to download the PDF version of the magazine, which is what you'll be seeing next on the screen. So this is how the PDF version of the magazine shows up on my computer. I happen to have an Apple product. It might look a little different on your side, but it doesn't matter. We can use this, download to your computers, share with your Spiritist groups. And this is issue 61. This is the cover for issue 61. And in each Spiritist magazine issue, the first article that appears is usually the Spiritist Conduct regarding a topic by Andrea Luiz, followed by the editor-in-chief letter by Vanessa Saloni. So here we have our Spiritist Conduct regarding Spiritism. And as I'm fidgeting with the eyes because it is allergy season in the US. Yes, it is. I will be removing my thumbnails, but as you can see, I can easily choose the different articles. There's a beautiful series now with physics and quantum physics and Spiritism. Articles by Americo Canhoto, who is a physician. The law of progress. We talked about the law of progress in a different program. We talk about no to irritation. We will talk about no to irritation. There is usually a chapter from the book Good News, which is also translated but not published in English yet. I know because I participated in both translations of Spiritist Conduct and Good News. And then we have chapters by Euripides Barçanufo. We talked about spiritual fraternity before, and so many more issues. So I'll remove the thumbnails and I'll zoom in so we can at least cover most of the article today. So Spiritist Conduct regarding Spiritism. The first topic is extinguish sterile discussions, turning away from situations that may cause embarrassment or may harm the healthy development of the doctrinal work. The spirit of true fraternity fuses all diversions. So this is a very interesting point. It's the first point that he puts it in. And we know the superior spirits don't randomly choose words even or the order where which those words and paragraphs appear in their article is very deliberate. How many times we spend time, which is actually one of the articles of the the Spiritist Conduct book is Spiritist Conduct regarding time, and how many times we do spend our precious hours in sterile discussions about anything. So we want to make sure that we don't spend time discussing things that are not productive. Ultimately, the Spiritist doctrine, Spiritism, the teachings brought to us by the superior spirits in the works of Kardec and in the works such as under Luiz and Emmanuel. Only there we have way over 500 books to read, so we're good there for a while. Are to bring you and I consolation. Meaning, this is the promised consoler as promised by Jesus. So, in order for Spiritism to be consoling, we need to bring the discussions to a healthy level and relevance level. We have to bring those who come to the Spiritist Center the consolation they're looking for. And sterile discussions only waste time. Do not restrict the doctrinal work practice exclusive to the home. Very important. Nowadays, when Spiritists are having difficulties returning to the Spiritist Center for various reasons, or choosing not to return in person because, well, I can watch from home. I watched from home during the pandemic. Yeah, but the pandemic was a different situation when everybody needs to be home for the protection of one another against the transmission of COVID-19. And there were a special set of circumstances that allowed us to be, but we need to not restrict Spiritism just to our homes, because our homes do not have, for the majority of the places on the earth, the spiritual company and protection, a spiritual company that leads to spiritual protection, because we take part in mundane activities that attract spirits that are like us, and we're still imperfect. So in the Spiritist Center, we have a series of spirits who come before us, who prepare, who can install equipment, who have the magnetic barriers to prevent invasion from the lower zone, and so on. What should we do? He says, seek to contribute equally to the Spiritist harvest in the social realms, assisting with the establishment and maintenance of doctoral centers in rural areas, usually where there is less resources, right? We are all together in collective debt. So, friends, if you are in a place on the earth that does not have a Spiritist center, this is your chance. God puts you there for a reason. So if you're listening to this in a place that isn't one, start one. And how do you start one? Here I am at the headquarters of our Spiritist Center that we founded a while ago. Now we have our own place, but we started with a group of friends studying at a rented space somewhere else, downtown Richmond, the capital of Virginia, very important in the history of the United States. Formation. Also, an area that is very linked to wars and slavery, but that's a conversation for another time from the past, for our past history. But we started there, and then we grew and we moved to a different location with a different group, the Quakers. And during the pandemic, like everybody else, we took our activities online. Richmond is beautifully adorned with parks, so we went and met outside to be safe a lot. And then when the weather didn't allow us, we met using the same resources that I'm using here now to contact with you. So if you don't have one, start one. And it's as easy as inviting those who are sympathizers of Spiritism to study with you the gospel. Start with the gospel at home. Start with the Spiritist book. Set a time and a place at your home, aside from your own gospel at home, but start at the library. Rent a room somewhere where you can rent by the hour. There's so many possibilities these days. You don't have to begin with your whole system set up. The spirits will support you, and they send collaborators, they will send protective spirits. Every time we meet, in the name of Jesus, He's there, and that includes the spiritual protection and guidance that He can give us, right? So we need to assist with those who are starting different centers elsewhere in the world, or we start our own. Pray for those who do not know or cannot respect the sanctity of the Spiritist apostolates. Do not show appreciation for their unfortunate conduct, so as not to encourage the incursion of the shadows. Comments regarding evil, now and always multiply evil. These are the people who challenge us, who don't believe, who make fun, who think we are losers because instead of spending the weekend at the park, we're spending our weekend helping the incarnate and discarnate spirits who come, the incarnate beings and the discarnate spirits who come to listen to these teachings and having sometimes a first contact with the fact that they are immortal souls. So we don't comment on evil because we don't want to multiply the evil. We want to, and um, when we show appreciation for the unfortunate conduct of those who can't yet appreciate the teachings that we espouse in this life, we encourage the incursion of the shadows, meaning we are creating fractures and pores in our group so that the shadows can come and disband the group. So it's very important. Let go of blind beliefs, exercising reasoning and doctrinal principles so as not to stagnate oneself in the darkness of fanaticism. Discernment is not simple adornment. Remember, Kardec told us Spiritism is a reasoned faith. So the things we espouse, the things we do have a reason. They're not ritualistic, and we are not fanatics. Well, we do things for a reason. Why do we start on time? Because we respect for people's time in both realms. The mentors have things to do. Why do we read a message in the beginning? To bring everybody's mind out from outside in our daily circumstances to focus on the message. And then we pray to harmonize, to create a spiritual mental image of peace and calmness and love so we can help ourselves and others. Then we study, and then we finish with a prayer. We get together, depending on what meetings you have. You may have a little bit of time to meet. You have Spiritist works like we do. We volunteer in the nursing home. We collect food for shelters. And then we do those activities together to build our team and enjoy one another's company. So there's a reason for all of that. It's not random. It shouldn't be because someone else wants it, right? So before criticizing Spiritist institutions you deem deficient, contributing person to the rise them up to a higher level, whoever helps appreciates with greater trust. That's an important topic because a lot of people come to, for example, the USA, and they have a preconceived idea what Spiritism looks like because maybe they were raised in a place that has a lot of Spiritist centers, i.e. Brazil, for example. There are other places in the world that also have Spiritist centers. And remember, Kardec was French. The first Spiritist center in the world was French. So we come and we see, and they're not doing it as we expected. But then we are criticizing them instead of helping and say, how can I help? Okay, this is not my way. I did not create this group. I'm not contributing with my labor or financially because guess what? The doctrine and the services are free. But there are costs associated with providing that service because you have to rent, you have to pay electricity, you have to pay the internet that I'm using right now. You have to have resources to do the work. And then we criticize. So he's saying here, before criticizing, contribute. And if you can't contribute because you don't have affinity with that group, go start one and see how hard it is. That's what we usually say. It's okay. And we use grandma's advice and common sense. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything, but also don't think anything because we know just because we're not saying doesn't mean we're not creating mental images of criticism and those mental darts to one another. He says, help spiritualist organizations or the philosophical movements that have not yet received genuine Spiritist guidelines. That's the collaboration. The truth is one. The truth is we are immortal beings with the laws of progress of society. We are guiding, moving towards being closer to God with um, evolution of our spirit over time. And different organizations, spiritualists, and other philosophical movements have already received some of those teachings, perhaps not the way Spiritism is, but he's talking about helping them, that collaboration, the interfaith collaboration, talking about um, the teachings of Christ, for example, with our Catholic friends, with Protestant friends, with our friends of our other religious beliefs as well. Understand that your task, however, your personal task has already been defined within the edification of the doctrine which you have embraced. The fruit does not ripen before its time. And the places who are yet to receive the teachings of Spiritism, they will. In the Law of Progress by the Superior Spirits through Allan Kardec, Allan Kardec organizes the Spirit's book. The answers are from the Spirit, so it's a Spirit's book. In the Law of Progress, he says the role of Spiritism in aiding in progress is to destroy materialism. And he says Spiritism, the communication between the two realms, mediumship, the mortality of a soul will become ubiquitous around the world. This already is. A lot of people believe in immortality of the soul. They're going to die and join God in heaven, or they will be reincarnated. There's a lot of philosophical movements already believe that. But the truth is that the fruit's not ripened yet. Jesus did not tell us everything that he could have told us as a Christ spirit because we weren't ready 2,000 years ago, and now we are. And then maybe 1,000 years from now, all the spirits will be ready to receive the teachings that we have today. So the preciousness of time. And he's saying your task is defined within the edification of the doctrine. So if we believe we're spiritists, we need to be spiritists, not in name only. We cannot just talk about it, we have to do it. We have to put our time and resources towards the edification or the building of the doctrine we have embraced. That means going to the Spiritist Center, donating financially, donating your talents, spending time, and living the precepts of Christ's teachings in our lives. The example is everything, right? Christ didn't write anything. He was giving sermons and explanations and healing. He was doing. He was the example. He gave us a lot of oral teachings, but he also did, and that's us. And if you don't have a Spiritist Center, you can start a Spiritist study group and move on towards that goal with the guidance of the superior spirits. And we can read, if you read Portuguese, you can't read it in English, but if you read Portuguese, there's a book by Sueli Schubert that's called The Spiritual Dimensions of the Spiritist Center. I wonder if ChatGPT would translate it easily for us. Because although the technology is there, right? Paul wrote letters, Jesus gave sermons, the apostles wrote stuff down, and letters were transmitted, and now we use the internet. So maybe the Spiritual Dimensions of the Spiritist Center book is a good one, in which you see that the foundations of the Spiritist Center occur centuries before we reincarnate, because we have to have agreed, we have accepted the task. Our parents and grandparents have to incarnate, give birth to us. We have to grow, so on and so forth. So if you are you have embraced the Spiritist doctrine, our personal task is to help build it up. Recall the realization that Spiritism has no human leadership. That's important. None of the harvests of the field of its multifaceted activities are essentials in the realms of its achievement. Christ, our divine mentor, is never absent. That's very important because we do see people who lead the movement by example. See Waldo Franco, right? 96 years old. Why? Last week, This is going to air in May of 2023 if you're watching this on demand later. And he's a great example, but he's not leading the movement. So nor are the federations, and there are organizations who try to unify and give guidance and allow people to have, who don't know. The Spiritist Federation in the US has lots of documents that allow people to help build a group and how to work when time comes, how to organize it. So does the Brazilian Spiritist Federation, as far as I understand. But there's no leader. The president of the Brazilian Spiritist Federation doesn't lead the Spiritist movement in the world. That's Christ's job. Therefore, we can start a group tomorrow without having to ask anybody about it, as long as we follow the precepts of the spirits. We follow Kardec's doctrine, the good works of Andrea Luiz and Emmanuel. Like I said, only the Spiritist doctrine. There's five main books, plus what is Spiritism, posthumous work, Spiritism is its simplest expression, the Spiritist magazine, plus all the 500 books of Chico Xavier, through Chico Xavier by Emmanuel Andrea Luiz, and I didn't even mention the works of Joana de Angeli, Joana de Angelis, Manuel Filomeno de Miranda by Dival. That gives you 600 books easy, 700 to read and study in one lifetime. Because guess what? When we go to the spiritual realm, the libraries aren't easily available as they are here. We have to have merit and work to access them. So let's go and study. Start the work. Edify the doctrine you have embraced. Leave criticism behind us. And remember, Christ is never absent. Everywhere you are, Christ is with you, guiding you, supporting you in this important work that only you, can do in this world. And this book always has a quote, a Bible quote at the end, and this one is from Matthew chapter 5, verse 47. What are you doing more than others? That's what Jesus said. And then by the book Spiritist Conduct by Andrea Luiz, psychographed by Waldo Vieira. And it is awaiting publication by the publisher. Dear friends, what a blessing to be here. Visit spiritismagazine.org. Email the editor-in-chief if you have a talent you'd like to share. It's a 100% volunteer organization. You can visit the website and find the resources, the contact us form, the Facebook link, the app link, the donation page. All the PDF files are there for you to download free of charge. That way we can all collectively improve the teachings, improve planet Earth, one soul at a time, so that we can live better in during this planetary transition as well. Thank you so very much, friends, for your kindness, for your attention, for your time, and God willing, I'll be back with you next week with another Spiritist Magazine program live from Richmond. Take care. Bye-bye.